Namaste viewers, welcome to Gnana Devula channel. Today in this video we will go through some of the aspects of Buddhism. Before we go to the details, I request you to please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Please post your comments in the comment box as to the quality and other things of the video. Now, coming back to Buddhism. Buddhism is a very old, very prachina spiritual tradition, and it's a great philosophy. It was founded by Siddhartha Gautama. He is known as the Buddha. Somewhere around 500 to 600 years before the Common Era. It originated from ancient India, particularly Bihar. It is one of the world's major religions. It emphasizes ethical living. As usual, all religions, they emphasize on ethical living, mindfulness, and the path to enlightenment. Now, if you have to look at the central teachings of Buddhism, the central aspects, they are called as, there are four, satyas, sat, that means four noble truths. That means it is there in the human, anybody, they will be having these four. You can consider them as four truths. One is called as Dukkha. Dukkha means suffering. Buddhism, he identified that life is filled with lot of suffering. This suffering is in the form of dissatisfaction. Whatever you get, whatever you have, it is still you are not satisfied. There is lot of pain, both physically, mental, and everything. And impermanence. Nothing is permanent. If you have dukkha, it is not permanent. If you have sukha, it is not permanent. It keeps on moving. It keeps on changing. This is impermanence. You have one more noble truth called as Samudaya. That means cause of the suffering. So, Lord Buddha identified what is the cause for this suffering. He says the suffering arises from craving for something. I want this, I want this. Suffering arises from desire. I want that, I want this, I don't want this. Desire and attachment. You always attach yourself to that particular craving or particular desire. This is the cause of the suffering. Asaye dukkhakke moola. In Kannada they say, ase, that means craving. Dukkhakke moola, that means it is the root for all your suffering. Now, he speaks of one more truth, that is Nirodha. Nirodha means cessation of suffering. How do you overcome this? How do you overcome this suffering? It is possible to overcome suffering by eliminating desire. If you don't desire for a thing, you don't have any suffering. You don't have any of the things, which follow this desire. When you desire something, you have to go behind it, you have to go behind acquiring it, you have to incur a lot of dukkha, lot of sufferings. So Nirodha is one thing. Then the fourth truth is called as Magga. Marga, or path to liberation. So here he identifies eightfold, 8 types of paths, 8 types of different types of paths which lead to the cessation of the suffering, which leads to removal of the suffering. These are the 4 noble truths. Now we will see what are those eightfold paths. This is like a guide, this is like a pointer to ethical conduct, mental discipline, disciplining your mentally disciplining, and your wisdom. He identifies them as right view. You should have a right view of whatever you do, whatever it is. Then the intentions what you do, the second one is it should be the correct intention, right intention. And he identifies right speech. The speech, whatever you vachas, speech, it should be the right kind of vacha. Then right kind of action. Then right kind of livelihood. You should lead the righteous way of living. Then you should put the right kind of effort, and you should be mindfulness, right kind of mindfulness, and then the right type of concentration. So these are all the eightfold paths which are to be observed to have, like, to remove your sufferings. Now here he identifies 3 universal truths. They are impermanence, anicca. Anicca means it is not nitya, eternal, continuous. Anitya means it is not there. Impermanence. It is always changing. Dukkha. Dukkha is suffering. Dukkha. See, these words are from Pali. So dukkha and other words, they are, in those days, Pali was another language which was being spoken, common language which was being understood by everybody. So dukkha. And then non-self, anatta. Anatta is non-self. These were the 3 universal truths. And then he speaks of 5 precepts. What one has to do to, what one should not do things, what one should abstain from doing. The first one was abstain from harming living beings, particularly living beings. Unnecessarily you shouldn't harm. Ahimsa paramo dharmaha. This was the central phrase for Buddhism. Then abstain from taking what is not given. That means not stealing. You can't take anything which is not yours. Whatever you take, it should be given by them. You should accept it only when somebody gives you. You cannot just steal, you cannot take away the things. This is abstaining from taking what is not given. Then he speaks of abstain from sexual misconduct. Very strict sexual misconduct. So you cannot just indulge in sex, indulge in lot of women, wine and things like that. You should not indulge in that. That was one of the precept. Then he speaks of abstaining from false speech. That means untruth. That means lying. Whatever you say, you should stick to that. You can't just, keep blabbering, keep saying something which is irrelevant, keep something which you don't follow, all those kinds of things. Then the last precept which he advises is abstaining from intoxicating substances like smoking, drinking, drugs, so many things. These are all external factors. These are all external substances which are abused. Like, you take them, your mind doesn't work. It blocks all your the right thinking of your brain. So abstain from intoxicating substances. These are the 5 precepts which he advocates. Here, after there are certain branches of Buddhism also. There are different types of Buddhisms. One is called as Theravada, the teaching of the elders. Theravada. So this particular branch of Buddhism focuses on the earliest teachings of the Buddha. Very early teachings of the Buddha. Its importance is that it emphasizes individual enlightenment. That means each individual should get enlightened. That can happen through a monastic life, that is a sannyasi, Bauddha bhikshu, Bauddha sannyasi. Through that you can attain enlightenment. This particular branch of Buddhism was predominant, even now it is predominant in Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, that is Burma, and Cambodia. This is prevalent still now. Then you had this other branch called as Mahayana. Mahayana means traveling. Maha means great travel or a great vehicle, a great progressing like this. That is. So here the important aspect here was to encourage people who wanted to achieve enlightenment. Like, there are so many people in this world who want to get enlightened, but they are not properly being addressed, properly being directed, properly being guided. So this Mahayana, it helps, and it encourages whoever who desires others achieve enlightenment. This particular Mahayana is also called as Bodhisattva path. Bodhisattva path. So it includes certain practices like chanting and meditation. Chanting of certain mantras, chanting of certain phrases, and then meditation. This was popular, even now it is popular in some pockets in China, Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. Buddhism is a very great religion. It spread to various parts of this world. Though it started from India, it went to China, it went to Japan, as far as Japan, and all other areas, countries which were Vietnam, Cambodia, Burma, like this it went on. Now, you had one more called as Vajrayana. See, Vajra means hard, Yana means practice, you can call it as. A diamond, Vajra is a diamond which is the hardest. We all know that the diamond is the hardest substance that is found on this natural substance. So Vajrayana, the diamond vehicle, hard travel, you can say. It has got both Mahayana teachings, but this is combined with esoteric practices. Some kinds of practices which are difficult to follow, or some extreme practices, you can call it as. This focuses on rituals, mantras and meditation. This is practiced in Tibet, Bhutan and Mongolia. As far as in Mongolia, also it is followed. So now, some of the important concepts in Buddhism are: Buddhism also believes in karma, that is the principle of cause and effect. Actions lead to corresponding results. Whatever you act, the result is according to your action which you have performed. Action leads to results. Of course, like Newton said, action and reaction are equal and opposite. Of course, this has also been told in some of the Hindu scriptures in a different way, in a more elaborate way. So, karma theory. Then rebirth. Buddhism also believes in the cycle of birth. That means a person is born, he dies, and then he takes rebirth, which is as per his karma, which is governed by karma. This is called as samsara, rebirth. Then it speaks of the word nirvana. One of the concepts in Buddhism is nirvana. Nirvana is the ultimate goal. Nirvana, ultimate, a state of liberation from suffering and the samsara. This is nirvana. So, one more concept is meditation. The important practice for mindfulness, concentration and insight is meditation. That is to get into this liberation of suffering and samsara. These are the core concepts in Buddhism. We'll go through some of the sacred texts. What are the texts, The first one is called as a Tripitaka. Pitaka means three containers, three baskets. These are the foundational texts of Theravada Buddhism. Now you have Mahayana Sutras, the sacred writings in Mahayana Buddhism. They include this Lotus Sutra and Heart Sutra, Hridaya. Lotus Kamala Sutra and then Hridaya Sutras. Now you have Tibetan Buddhist texts also. Lot of texts are there. Texts like the Tibetan Book of the Dead, Bardo Thodal, like this. Now after this, we'll go to this symbols in Buddhism. What the symbols, they represent and what is their significance. Buddhism, lotus flower forms a very, the symbol, great symbol. It symbolizes purity and spiritual awakening. Then you have this Dharma wheel, Dharma chakra, represents the teachings of the Buddha. You have Bodhi tree, where the Buddha attained enlightenment. And you have a stupa. Stupa is a monument containing the relics, the remainings of the symbols of the Buddha, are symbols of the Buddha. This is stupa. There's 4: lotus flower, Dharma wheel, Dharma chakra, Bodhi tree, and then stupa. So these are all some of the things. These are all things that are from Buddhism, and it has a great modern relevance also. Buddhism continues to inspire millions of people worldwide with its teachings on compassion, mindfulness, and ethical living. These three are the major teachings. Its practices, such as meditation, are very widely adopted for mental well-being and reduction of stress, particularly in these modern days. So, viewers, this is some glimpse of this Buddhism. I hope this overview of Buddhism was quite informative and then quite satisfactory. Now I request you to please like, share and then subscribe to my channel. Thank you for your valuable time for listening to this video. Thank you.